Every day, Europe faces challenges that seem insurmountable. The economy plummets, millions lose their jobs, and uncertainty spreads like a shadow over the continent. Entire families struggle to make ends meet, while the once vibrant streets become a reflection of despair and anguish. The current crisis is not just a phase, but an abyss that threatens to swallow everything that Europe has built over the years. In the midst of this chaos, stories of resilience emerge from the ruins. Small communities come together, creating networks of support and solidarity. In cities like Berlin and Amsterdam, innovation emerges as a light at the end of the tunnel, with green technologies and sustainable economic models offering new hope. But will these efforts be enough to turn the tide and save the continent from total collapse? Every decision made by political leaders, every move in the financial market, carries immense weight. The future of the euro is at stake, as is the very stability of the European Union. What really caused this devastating crisis? Which sectors are most affected, and how can they recover? And most of all, what are the human stories behind the cold numbers of statistics? Get ready to dive into the depths of a Europe in crisis, where every detail counts and every story matters. 1. The historical roots of the European crisis. The current crisis in Europe did not arise suddenly. It is the result of a series of historical events dating back to the end of World War II. The post-war reconstruction of Europe, financed by the Marshall Plan, created a robust economic foundation, but also introduced significant dependence on the United States. This dependence has evolved over time, impacting Europe's economic autonomy and its ability to respond to internal crises without external aid. In the 2000s, the 2008 global financial crisis had a devastating impact on European economies, especially southern European countries such as Greece, Spain, and Italy. The austerity measures imposed by the European Union and the International Monetary Fund have exacerbated economic hardship, resulting in high unemployment rates and a growing public debt. This era of austerity has also generated social and political discontent, fueling populist and Eurosceptic movements. In addition, the 2015 crisis involving the mass migration of refugees from Syria and other conflict zones added an additional layer of complexity to the already fragile European stability. The arrival of hundreds of thousands of refugees has put pressure on welfare systems and intensified political divisions within the European Union. These historical events combined have created a scenario where the current crisis can be seen as a continuation of unresolved problems and systemic challenges. 2. Economic impact, most affected sectors and future forecasts. The current European crisis significantly impacts several economic sectors, with the tourism industry being one of the most affected. Countries such as Italy, Spain, and Greece, which rely heavily on tourism, have seen a drastic drop in visitor numbers due to travel restrictions and ongoing fear of the COVID-19 pandemic. The decrease in tourism not only affects directly related businesses, such as hotels and restaurants, but also associated sectors, such as transportation and services. Another sector that has been hit hard is manufacturing. With global supply chains disrupted, many factories in Europe have struggled to source critical raw materials and components. This has resulted in production stoppages and delays in deliveries, hurting the economy of countries like Germany, which is highly dependent on its industrial capacity. The shortage of components, such as semiconductors, has also severely affected the production of automobiles, one of Europe's main industries. The service sector, especially small and medium-sized enterprises, faces unprecedented challenges. Lockdown measures and social distancing have forced many businesses to temporarily close or operate at reduced capacity. This has led to a wave of bankruptcies and rising unemployment, with long-term negative impacts on the economy. Future forecasts indicate that while recovery is possible, it will be slow and uneven, with some sectors and regions recovering faster than others. 3. The migration crisis and its social implications. The migration crisis in Europe remains one of the most pressing challenges for the European Union. The influx of refugees and migrants from Syria, Afghanistan, and African countries puts pressure on the asylum and welfare systems of many European countries. The lack of a unified immigration policy exacerbates the situation, with southern border countries such as Greece and Italy bearing a disproportionate burden. Social tensions rise as local communities struggle to integrate a growing number of newcomers. In many cases, the lack of adequate resources for housing, education, and health leads to conflicts between migrants and local populations. Xenophobia and racism are also on the rise, fueled by inflammatory political discourse and negative media coverage, which often paints migrants as a threat to security and jobs. Moreover, the migration crisis has significant political implications. Populist movements and far-right parties have gained strength in several countries, exploiting the population's fear and insecurity regarding immigration. These political forces not only threaten social cohesion within countries, but also the unity of the European Union, challenging fundamental principles such as the free movement of people and solidarity between member states. 4. Mass unemployment, reality or exaggeration? Mass unemployment is a palpable reality for many European countries, especially in southern and eastern European nations. In Spain and Greece, youth unemployment rates exceed 30%, creating a lost generation of young people with no stable job prospects. The lack of opportunities leads many to emigrate to northern European countries in search of work, exacerbating inequality between regions. The COVID-19 pandemic has further aggravated the unemployment situation. Many sectors, particularly those in services and tourism, have been hit hard by lockdown and social distancing measures. Small and medium-sized enterprises, which account for a significant share of employment in Europe, face mass bankruptcies, leading to a drastic reduction in employment. Long-term unemployment becomes a growing concern, with many workers facing difficulties re-entering the labor market. On the other hand, some regions of Europe, especially those with more diversified and robust economies, have been able to mitigate the worst effects of the unemployment crisis. Government supportive policies, such as wage subsidies and reskilling programs, help maintain employment and prepare the workforce for future demands. However, the effectiveness of these measures varies widely across countries, reflecting differences in institutional capacities and political will. 5. The role of central banks in crisis mitigation. Central banks play a crucial role in responding to the economic crisis in Europe. The European Central Bank, ECB, in particular, has implemented a number of measures to stabilize financial markets and support the economy. Among these measures, quantitative easing, QE policies stand out, which involve the purchase of government and private bonds to inject liquidity into the economy and keep interest rates low. In addition to QE policies, the ECB has also introduced long-term lending programs for banks, known as Targeted Long-Term Refinancing Operations, TLTROs. These programs encourage banks to lend more to businesses and consumers, promoting economic activity. During the pandemic, the ECB expanded these programs to ensure banks had access to cheap financing, helping to prevent a credit crunch. However, central banks' policies face limitations and criticism. Some argue that over-reliance on monetary measures can create asset bubbles and increase inequality, disproportionately benefiting holders of financial assets. Moreover, the effectiveness of these policies depends on the fiscal response of governments. Without effective coordination between monetary and fiscal policies, central banks' efforts may be insufficient to address the depth of the economic crisis. 6. The European Union under pressure, challenges and possible solutions. The European Union, EU, is facing unprecedented challenges in managing the current crisis. Political fragmentation and economic disparities among member states complicate the formulation of a unified response. Richer countries, such as Germany and the Netherlands, have been reluctant to fund substantial bailout packages for more indebted countries, such as Greece and Italy, creating tensions within the EU. One of the main challenges is the need for a more integrated fiscal policy. The absence of a significant central budget and fiscal transfer mechanisms hampers the EU's ability to respond effectively to asymmetric economic crises. The recent introduction of Next Generation EU, a €750 billion recovery fund, represents a significant step in this direction, but implementation and equitable distribution of resources remains a challenge. To overcome these challenges, it is crucial for the EU to strengthen its economic governance and promote greater solidarity among member states. Institutional reforms, such as the creation of a real European treasury and the issuance of European bonds could increase the EU's ability to face future crises. In addition, promoting policies that encourage economic convergence among member countries would help reduce disparities and strengthen European cohesion. 7. Brexit and its side effects. Brexit has brought a host of additional challenges to Europe, exacerbating the already existing crisis. The United Kingdom's exit from the European Union has created significant economic and trade uncertainties. The disruption in supply chains and new trade barriers have affected businesses on both sides of the English Channel. Sectors such as automotive, finance, and agriculture face new tariffs and bureaucracies, increasing costs and reducing competitiveness. In addition to the economic challenges, Brexit also has profound political implications. It has fueled separatist movements in other parts of Europe, such as Catalonia in Spain and Scotland in the United Kingdom, which see Britain's departure as a precedent for their own independence. Such potential fragmentation threatens political stability in Europe and could lead to a further disintegration of the European political union. The social impact of Brexit is also significant. Many European citizens living in the UK and vice versa face uncertainty about their rights and status. Freedom of movement, one of the pillars of the European Union, has been severely restricted, affecting millions of people. This new social reality creates additional divisions and tensions, further complicating the crisis scenario in Europe. 8. The energy crisis, dependence and the search for alternatives. The energy crisis in Europe is a critical issue that is intertwined with the economic crisis. Europe's dependence on external energy sources, such as natural gas from Russia, exposes the region to geopolitical vulnerabilities. Any disruption in supply could have devastating impacts on the European economy, as has been evidenced by previous gas crises and recent tensions with Russia. In response to these vulnerabilities, Europe is seeking to diversify its energy sources and invest in renewable alternatives. Countries such as Germany and Denmark are leading the transition to renewable energy, with significant investments in wind and solar energy. However, the energy transition is a complex and expensive process that requires robust infrastructure and consistent supporting policies. The energy crisis is also driving technological innovation and research into new forms of energy, such as green hydrogen. Europe is at the forefront of this research, seeking solutions that can ensure energy security and reduce the carbon footprint. The integration of smart technologies and efficient electricity grids are essential parts of this strategy, promoting a more sustainable and resilient approach to Europe's energy future. 9. Impact on the mental health of Europeans. The economic and social crisis in Europe has a profound impact on the mental health of the population. Rising unemployment, financial insecurity, and uncertainties about the future generate high levels of stress and anxiety. The COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated these issues, with many people facing social isolation and loss of loved ones, increasing cases of depression and other mental disorders. Mental health systems in many European countries face increasing demand, while limited resources make it difficult to provide adequate care. The lack of mental health professionals and insufficient support services exacerbate the situation, leaving many without the necessary support. Early intervention programs and awareness campaigns are essential to mitigate the long-term effects of this mental health crisis. Beyond the individual impacts, the mental health crisis has wide-ranging economic and social repercussions. Loss of productivity due to mental health issues affects local and national economies. Businesses face challenges in maintaining a healthy and productive work environment, while social security systems face additional pressures to provide support to those in need. Addressing mental health effectively is crucial for Europe's full recovery. 10. The future of the euro, stability or collapse. The stability of the euro is at the heart of Europe's economic concerns. Since its inception, the common currency has faced a number of challenges, but the current crisis is testing its limits like never before. The pressure on heavily indebted countries and the lack of a unified fiscal policy put the currency in a precarious position, raising questions about its long-term viability. Economic disagreements among member states further complicate the situation. Countries with strong economies, such as Germany and France, have different interests and capabilities compared to more vulnerable nations, such as Greece and Portugal. These disparities make it difficult to implement monetary policies that meet everyone's needs, increasing the risk of fragmentation within the Eurozone. However, there are also signs of resilience and hope. The European Union's joint response to the pandemic, including the Next Generation EU Recovery Fund, shows a renewed readiness for solidarity and cooperation. The introduction of innovative financial instruments, such as Eurobonds, can strengthen the fiscal union and provide a more stable foundation for the euro. The future of the currency depends, in large part, on the ability of European leaders to navigate these challenges with a long-term vision and a commitment to unity. 11. Stories of resilience. How cities and communities are facing the crisis. In the midst of the crisis, many European cities and communities show remarkable resilience and innovation. In countries such as Italy and Spain, where the crisis is most pronounced, local communities have come together to support each other, sharing resources and creating support networks. Community initiatives, such as food banks and volunteer programs, help mitigate economic and social impacts by showcasing the power of local solidarity. Cities such as Berlin and Amsterdam are leading urban innovation initiatives to address the challenges of the crisis. Berlin, for example, invests in green technologies and startups to boost the local economy, while promoting sustainability. Amsterdam implements a circular economic model, where waste is minimized and resources are reused, creating a more resilient and sustainable urban environment. In addition, stories of small rural communities that have reinvented themselves are inspiring. In villages in Greece and Portugal, the crisis has led to a revival of traditional agricultural practices and the promotion of sustainable local tourism. These communities have found ways to preserve their cultures while creating economic opportunities, offering valuable models of resilience in times of crisis. 12. The role of new technologies in the European recovery. New technologies play a crucial role in Europe's economic recovery. The digitization of businesses and services has accelerated during the pandemic, with many companies adopting remote work models and e-commerce platforms. Digital transformation not only helps maintain economic activity during lockdown periods, but also creates new opportunities for growth and innovation. Emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, AI, and big data are revolutionizing industries such as healthcare, finance, and manufacturing. The application of AI in healthcare, for example, improves the diagnosis and treatment of diseases, increasing the efficiency of healthcare systems. In the financial industry, the use of big data and advanced algorithms enhances risk management and service personalization, while in manufacturing, automation and robotics drive productivity and quality. Digital infrastructure is another essential component to recovery. The rollout of 5G networks across Europe promises to accelerate connectivity and support an innovation ecosystem. Government policies that promote digital skills education and training are vital to preparing a workforce for the digital future. By investing in new technologies and empowering its citizens, Europe can build a more resilient and competitive economy to meet future challenges. As Europe navigates these turbulent waters, every step towards recovery is crucial. Stories of resilience and innovation offer a glimmer of hope, but the road is long and uncertain. The current crisis redefines the continent's landscape, and the coming decisions will determine whether Europe can emerge stronger and more united. The future is in the hands of those who dare to face these challenges head-on. Will European leaders be able to find a common way to overcome internal divisions? Can the European economy reinvent itself to ensure long-term prosperity? And most importantly, how will these changes affect the lives of ordinary people who struggle daily to survive? The crisis in Europe is an ever-evolving story, full of ups and downs, victories and defeats. What will be the next chapters of this epic narrative? Keep following and exploring the depths of this crisis to truly understand its impact and what the future holds for the continent. The answers can surprise, challenge, and who knows, inspire a new era of resilience and renewal.